Okay, can you hear me?
Mhm.
Okay. Hi, this is Christina, and I'm here with Melissa, and I will be asking her some questions for our class project that will be shown to the media professionals and posted on YouTube. So, can you please just state your first and last name
Melissa Holland,
and your profession,
flight attendant for United Express.
and your age,
27.
and where were you born? What's your hometown?
I was born in Leesville, Louisiana. My hometown now is Houston, Texas.
Okay. Have you ever been affected by a misleading news report?
A misleading news report. Yeah, I would think so. I was directly affected by the Ebola news reports that were going on recently.
And why were you directly affected by that?
Working in the airline, we already have to deal with scared flyers or uninformed flyers, uneducated flyers, and the media hype over the Ebola virus and how it was spread affected me at work. I was having to come down to people's level a lot more when trying to reassure them about flying and what precautions we use. We already have precautions set up in place to prevent disease control, but it was getting kind of out of hand because of the hype through the media.
Oh, okay, definitely understandable. So have you ever been fearful after watching or reading a news story?
Yes, yes and no. I mean, the fear is already there because it's instilled in you, but no, because it just makes you more precautious. It makes you take the precautions that you were already taught a little bit more seriously. So you always have that fear of, some type of attack or some type of disease that's not preventable, but there's precautions already set in place. So it wasn't it wasn't an outlandish fear, I guess I can say.
Recently there has been there was a news story about I think it was an asteroid coming close to Earth. Does those type of news stories bring fear to you?
Not really. If you keep up with the news, every year there's always an asteroid or a sunspot or, something happening. I think if it were a real emergency, that they can spot those things from far away. So I think if it was a real emergency, that there would be more than just a news coverage about it. You would see things happening like something physical happening. But
Yeah.
it's always the same every year. It's an asteroid or it's a sunspot or something. Those things don't really scare me.
Absolutely. How often do you watch television or read news online or in printed form?
I read the news online every day. I don't actually watch a lot of television.
Oh, okay. Do you generally believe what you read or see that is presented as news from the media?
I do believe it until I find things that disprove it. You would think that our news is there to inform us, and a lot of times you have to do a little bit of digging to find the real story, but I do generally believe it when it first comes out.
Do you trust the media?
I do not trust the media. There's always that underlining story. There's always 2 or 3 sides to every story. So like I said, just doing your digging, you can figure out which part is true or which part is mostly true. You'll never know the true story. And as we always say, the media will hype things up to get their ratings. They're not really there to inform us. They're there to get their ratings. So I generally don't believe everything at first sight.
Other than the Ebola story, does any other story pop in your mind that really just seemed off-brand or that you just totally didn't trust?
I can't think of anything offhand.
Oh, okay. What media do you read or watch more?
Like newspaper?
Like,
Or I don't
like, do you mainly read about or watch about entertainment, politics, or, current events, weather?
Right, more like current events. It depends on what's going on at the time. Elections are going to be had, so there's a lot about the elections in the news right now, candidates and things like that. I do watch a lot about the weather because, like I said, it affects my job. Knowing where I'm going or where I'm coming from or the weather directly affects me. So current events and weather are mainly what I focus on.
And why do you mainly focus on current events?
Because depending on what's happening in the world directly affects the airline industry and affects my job. For instance, when the shootings were happening in Killeen, Texas, President Obama was coming through the Houston airport where I work. Well, when the president comes through, there's CIA, things shut down. There's certain precautions that we have to take. So I had to know when he was coming in. It just so happened that I was coming in from Mexico on a flight. And I knew that I was going to be searched. I knew to take extra time, getting where I was going because the airport was shutting down and the Secret Service was there. You also know to be a little bit more alert, and they teach us to be alert and to look for badges that say that a certain person is allowed in a certain area. So just because that was something that was currently happening, on my end I had to be more alert for my job and for security.
Do you prefer newspapers, online news, or television news, or news that you acquire through social media? And out of those, which do you believe is the most credible?
I prefer online news. I believe it's the most up-to-date. It is continuously updated. I also watch the television news whenever I get a chance. There's some places where I'm out of the loop because I'm out of the United States. So I do rely on television and the Internet highly to make sure that I know what's going on, depending on where I'm going to be at a certain time.
And what about social media? Do you think social media news is credible?
Again, that's double-sided. You see part of the story on the social media, the one that's going to get the ratings, or the headline that is the most scary, or the one that's going to make people click on it, and then when you click on it, the story's completely different.